guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, the Bright Side Girl, and today I'm doing my June reading wrap-up. So hopefully, as you guys know, I've started doing 2 reading wrap-ups. I'm doing an audiobook wrap-up and a reading wrap-up just because I've been listening to so many audiobooks that I didn't want my wrap-ups to be like crazy long. This month I actually didn't read a lot of physical books. I'm not really sure why that was. I didn't find myself like relaxing or like going to the beach and stuff as much as I was planning on. And the times that I normally would read, like I was like talking with people or just whatever, but I still read 5 books this month and I'm excited to talk about them. So 4 of these books are mermaid books. One of them is a classic, so we are going to start with the first book that I read this month. So the first book I read this month was To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. This is a loose Little Mermaid retelling. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. It's a new mermaid book, which I'm really excited that there was some new mermaid books coming out this year. The lead girl in this is a siren and she hunts princes to take their hearts. They collect hearts in this book and it's supposed to be like a dark Little Mermaid retelling. I thought the Little Mermaid retelling part was kind of loose, which is totally fine. Sometimes they slap like Little Mermaid retelling on any mermaid book and that isn't always like accurate, but that's okay. And the prince in this actually hunts sirens for fun or to protect the kingdom, all that kind of thing. So I don't want to give too much away, but that's kind of the basis of this, is a princess siren that hunts princes and a prince that hunts sirens, and that's kind of the theme. But there are pirate themes in this. They're on a boat for a lot of the journey. There's mermaid battles. There's all kinds of like really good stuff. I thought this was a really good addition to the mermaid book genre. I really enjoyed it. I didn't really think it was that dark. There are a lot of dark things in here, but once you've read Monstrous Beauty, which I keep talking about, this one looks like it's like just all fluff and rainbows. But I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. It's one that I will be probably rereading in the future and hopefully purchasing so I don't have to use the library. And yeah, so anyway, that's To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. This is going to be a relatively short wrap-up because the next 3 books that I read were part of a series, so I can't say too much about a couple of these books, but I read Undertow, Raging Sea, and Heart of the Storm, all by Michael Buckley. Michael Buckley is the author of the Sisters Grimm series, I think, which is like a middle grade series. So this one is like really cool. Look at this, like Coney Island and everything. So the premise of this one is there are like aquatic merfolk, underwater people that come up from the sea and start to inhabit Coney Island. Like this causes like some chaos and the world's like in a little bit of disarray. They haven't really like hurt anybody or anything, but they're there now and there's like 30,000 of them, and the world is having to adjust to the fact that things that are human-like are living in the sea, and they have their own laws and they have different species and they have their own way of doing things, and it's very different. A brief backstory of when they came, but the actual premise of the book is that the government has decided to allow these, they call them alphas, to allow the alpha children to go to school with the rest of the children, and this causes an uproar because there are fanatics that are severely against it and think that they're demons and that they're evil, and then even the people that don't think that are getting, if you're like on the side of the alpha, you could wind up dying or getting abused by like actual just regular humans because they're upset that you're on the side of the alpha. So this follows our lead girl, Lyric Walker, and her going to school for the first time. Her dad is a police officer and her mom is like a yoga teacher, and she's going to school and learning about the alphas, and she has some run-ins with them, and she has a cool best friend, and she knows something about herself that she has to hide, which keeps her family kind of like on the down low. But then something happens where she has to kind of be more in the spotlight, so everyone gets kind of worried about that. Anyway, these books are action packed. These are like what I call action movie books. This is like watching like the Avengers or I don't know, some kind of like action movie. That's how I feel when reading them. Are they perfectly written? No. Are they like genius books? Not necessarily, but they're just so much fun. They're so fun. They've got the cheesy like teenagery lingo where they trash talk each other, and it's got the silly stuff like, you know, yeah, I'm like a kick-ass girl. But like, it didn't bother me. I just really enjoyed it. While it is a mermaid book, I would not put it in like the mermaid category, because there are stuff where they're like mermaids with tails and things like that, but that's just not the main premise of the book. And there are all these different types of like alpha creature merfolk people. So if you're really into mermaid books, you might like this, but I wouldn't put it in the same category as all the other mermaid books that I talk about. But even if you don't like that stuff, you will like this book because it's just so much fun. It's just really fun and action filled. I really enjoyed this series as a whole. I thought the ending of the last book was crazy and took a total turn that I did not expect. It was like off the wall, very different than anything else that I have ever read, and I haven't heard anybody talking about them even though they're not super old. So I definitely recommend these. Undertow trilogy by Michael Buckley. The last book I read was Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. This is the Barnes & Noble Classic Edition. It's so pretty. I was supposed to read this in May and I didn't finish it. I was having a really hard time getting through The Looking Glass. I think because I started Mermaid Marathon and I just wanted to read mermaid books and I didn't really want to read this book. It's so short and I just was not into it. I loved Alice in Wonderland and I did like Through the Looking Glass, but I think because of the time that I was reading it, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would or I have in the past. But you know, classic fairy tale, whimsical, beautiful, very nonsensical, and just fun, and oh, it's just a really good read. I'd say especially good for springtime, but that was the classic that I read this month. Okay, you guys, that is all for my June reading wrap up. Stay tuned for my June audiobook wrap up because it's going to be like so long. I listened to like 10 plus audiobooks this month, so that may be why I didn't read as much physical books. But anyway, I have lots of good things to share over there. I'll put links to Mermaid Marathon down below if you want to learn about that because we're doing it all through July. And I'll see you guys next time on the bright side. Bye!